Fire struck a number of mainly African-American churches in 5 U.S. states over the course of the past week in the wake of the massacre of worshippers in Charleston. At least half of the places are thought to be arson, and they're being investigated as possible hate crimes. Is RT's Gani Chichikan.
Within just 1 week, 6 black community churches were burnt down in what could be a string of racially motivated arson attacks.
A string of suspicious fires appear to be targeting black churches in the South.
Fire investigators are ruling a Tuesday morning church fire as arson.
On Monday, a black church in Tennessee was attacked. Someone put hay bales at the church's entrance and set it ablaze. In the early hours of Tuesday morning, another church was set on fire in Georgia. Then on Wednesday at 1 a.m., a church in North Carolina started burning. Authorities are sure that blaze was arson. The same Wednesday, again in Tennessee, a black community church caught fire. Then on Friday, another church, this time in South Carolina, catches fire. Saturday, in Ohio, another church burns. Authorities said 3 of these cases are definitely arson. Others are still under investigation. The fire started just a week after the church massacre in Charleston, South Carolina, where 9 people were gunned down by Dylan Roof. In his eulogy on Friday, President Obama reminded of the history of attacks on black churches in the United States.
It was an act that drew on a long history of bombs and arson and shots fired at churches, not random, but as a means of control, a way to terrorize and oppress.
With me to talk about this is Dante Berry, Deputy Director at Million Hoodies Movement for Justice. Mr. Berry, lately the conversation has been mostly about how law enforcement treats black people, but the problem is much larger, isn't it?
When we look at the history of this country, black people have always had a complicated and violent relationship with citizenship in this country. This country was founded on the premise that black people are 3/5 of a human. And we've also seen a rise, a reemergence of a white supremacist movement. So this is not necessarily something new. It's just that it's in response to the fact that black people are demonstrating that they have a right to be alive and existing.
This is nothing new, and yet the country claims that it has changed it has changed a lot. What do you think about that change that is happening?
There hasn't necessarily been a change. When we look at the problems facing black communities, where our communities are more segregated than it was 50 years ago.
After all these years of saying all people are created equal, the United States still has those who haven't embraced that fundamental idea. In Washington, I'm Gani Chichikan, RT.